Hello and welcome to the Radically Embody Love Podcast with myself, Jessica Falcon, and my co-host, Naz Barbic. We are here today with a special guest, Patricia Wald-Hopkins, to talk about Gaia and being a voice for Gaia as a New Earth leader, what it means to be a voice for Gaia and Gaia herself. I think we haven't really on this podcast talked that much specifically about Gaia as a conscious entity, as a source of refuge and belonging and home and inspiration. So I'm excited to dive deep into this, Patricia, and I'd love to start out the conversation. Patricia, by the way, I don't think I officially introduced her, is a modern mystic and a voice of Gaia. So she's been on this path for a very long time. And I want to start out by talking about that path, Patricia, that you've had, and even connecting to Gaia and how that looked for you.
Well, I think it's definitely an evolution from being primarily a physical, enjoying her, right, in my youth, really spending a lot of time in nature, not really understanding the spiritual connection, just very much in my physical body, spent a lot of time in the mountains and deserts and, anywhere. I just sacred sites and traveling and things like that. And it wasn't until, oh goodness, probably my early 40s that I had that spiritual connection happen. And it happened in a plant ceremony. I was really had no idea what plant ceremony was all about. I just knew that I was being called because I needed the plants to help me connect. I didn't know how, right? I didn't have a context for it. And so it was through the plant medicine that I developed a new connection, like a neural and biochemical connection to the plant kingdom, which is connected to the soil and to, the earth. And it opened up my voice, which I didn't know I was going to end up saying voice of Gaia or voices of Gaia way, back then. It's been about 10 years. And but that's where it came up. It came up through the root, through my sacral. And it's a creative voice that came up and traveled up through my chakras. And it's through the evolution of time, my journey has been integrating all of the chakras into that voice, so I'm bringing down the divine, the higher self, the cosmic self, and the elemental and the Gaian wisdom that is meant for my channel, so that it comes out when I speak or when I create, right, when I connect. So it's been about embodying my higher self, my cosmic self into the earth and then back up and out as an expression. So that's a little wordy. And that's been my experience though with her speaking my special flavor or version of wisdom, because we're all voices of Gaia. Some of us are not conscious to that yet, but I think everyone here in your community probably has a sense of a deep connection to something greater, the greater ecosystem, right? And we all have a part and a voice and a message and wisdom to share. Yeah.
That is a beautiful journey that you spoke about plant medicine, and I have done a few plant medicine myself. And my belief is that ceremony allow you to be who you truly are. It's not that something that all of a sudden comes and you don't have within you. But when we are in our identity, personality, the fear is active, the ego is active. Therefore, we don't allow it to show. But when we do the plant medicine, somehow it opens up and gets beyond what we perceive to be true about ourselves, and we connect with who we truly are. And with that connection, and then when we allow it, it's our true self showing up with the connection with the nature, because we are part of the mystery, right? And we are part of it. And that's when the beautiful things can, from within us, show up. And I love that. And, for past few years myself, I am like you, have been a person that loved nature always. I've been a hiker since a little kid. And I had this connection that I couldn't understand. But for past few years, especially, that's my refuge. I know when I go to nature and connect, I open up and I receive. And it's so nurturing that when I don't get a chance to do it, I physically feel it. That is missing, that connection, that giving and receiving that I experience when I am truly there, fully available in nature, that how nurturing it is. So I love it that through that, you also have blossomed to who you truly are. And now you're showing and you're teaching that and opening up even in a greater way to share that wisdom with all of us. So I'm curious, how do you bring that to your work, and how do you encourage all of us to connect deeper with nature and see how we are all connected? The nature, as people, we are connected, and but we also one with nature. And there's so much that we can receive and give to Mother Gaia as our first mother to all of us, and how we can nurture it so we can also receive more.
Yes. Well, let me back up just a little step into my relationship with the earth. So first it was very much the body, right? And just being, and then through my 20s, 30s, college years into my early profession, I became a biologist. I studied and I, became a biologist, went on to study environmental health and toxicology. So I started to understand the earth mentally, right? It gave me a vision of how everything was connected. And so I've been on that, and I still do that work, but so it's a very mental thing. And then doing the plant ceremony and the work that I did, actually, it gave deeper meaning to that, right? It helped me to visualize it in a holistic way that I wasn't able to before when I was younger. And so the way that I connect to nature now has all three of those components. Plus, there's just a heart connection that has a heart language, right? The light language is a heart language for me. And so it's been about learning, like you said, where do I feel joy when I'm in that's probably the most important piece, is where does my body feel good, and where does my heart start to feel like it's filled with joy, right? And or even deep compassion, right? That's another really beautiful thing that comes through for me when I connect to the earth and all of us, right? All the creatures, the crystals, the plants, we're all connected through the root systems, right? The energetic and the physical root systems. And so I really am an advocate for people to appreciate their time each day in nature. And I'm not always good about it, right? I get caught up, just like all humans do, in the busyness. I'm a mother of 3 kids and work full time and do my Voices of Gaia work on, the side when I can, but it's always being done, right? So I always have to remember, oh, have I put my head on the ground today and connected to her? And I do that, the child's pose, right? That's something, it's like always connecting to to the earth? Or my feet, do I feel them below me? And then once you've done that, you know, I use different tools to connect people to help them identify what their voice is or what their gifts are, right? Like human design or the gene keys. And that's kind of mental. It can be kind of mental. But it helps to give you a path, a vision for how to express yourself. And it deepens that relationship with the earth, because you're giving to the ecosystem now, right? And you're finding the joy in it. So those tools help you to align with your joy, basically, right? Get rid of the things that are not really not in alignment. And I've had a lot of things that are not in alignment, and the eclipse brought up quite a few more. So my voice is always deepening, and clarifying and aligning. And so that's what I encourage people to do, is to just continue to clarify, align, and be present to the physical connection with earth each day. Don't forget about it in the busyness. Don't forget about it.
Yeah, it's really incredibly important. I remember when I started to consciously put my bare feet on the earth and connect with her, it was so transformative. It's so seemingly simple, right? Our bare feet on the earth, but to do it consciously with the intent to connect with her, to draw her up, to send my love down, was so powerful and really began to shift my reality and my relationship with my body. Because for me, I see our relationship with our body as intimately connected with our relationship with Gaia, because our body is the body of the earth. Her body is our body. And that remembrance took me a long time to deeply root in, so to speak, because my mind was so full of the beliefs we've been fed, that she's not animate, that she's not alive, that she's not her own living, breathing, sentient being. And I now know that she is, but part of my own path and research has taken me into why she isn't deemed that in our current society. And my understanding, and I'd love to have a little conversation about this, is that in many ancient cultures, we have record of her being worshipped as such, worshipped as a conscious, living, breathing entity, as goddess, earth as goddess. And then over a very long period of time, about 2,000 years of very intense violence, this new God is only up above in the sky, and those who worship the earth will be killed, came into being, and we stopped being able to worship the earth. And this is even in Jeremiah and other books of the Bible, in which those who did offer things, including love, to the earth were killed, and it became unsafe to connect with the earth. And I know for me, I felt her start to come to me and call me back, and I didn't know how. I know you mentioned you didn't know how. And so I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about both Gaia as a conscious entity, but also that the how, the how you got around the mental, any mental blocks that you had into that deeper connection.
I'm still getting around those mental blocks. Like, oh, yeah. Okay, so I know that collectively we we're exiting it probably, but we've been very mind-centered, right? It's very much about mental. Everything's mental, everything is a mental field. I live in a very thick and heavy mental field, and the first step is to acknowledge that, and to I've allowed myself to see it. Like, I actually see, I'm looking up here in front of you here, but I can see it. It's almost like a miasma, or it's an entity, right? It's a mental field of the collective that has been running the show, like you said, for a long time, and it's pulled us up and out of the body. It actually has, like, for me, for a long time, it just sort of severed that connection, and I had to rebuild it by witnessing myself constantly, my mental loops, and there's all sorts of techniques for doing that. And, I had to do a lot of Akashic clearing work and record and rewriting because of all my past life experiences and things over this time that the mental has been running, the mental mind, the masculine nature of organizing things so that we can control them. So letting go of controlling my reality as well, like some of the things, like, I'm going to have it this way, right? I've got that goal. I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? And then I'm going to be happy, and then I can connect to earth. It's like, no, connect first to the earth and connect to the heart. And I'm just feeling that as I'm speaking so that I don't get into my mental. And it's from that place in the heart that new heart-centered, that reality can be created, right? It's going from here. So when I'm feeling you from my heart, not from, oh, I want to explain to them. I want to explain to them how I do it. It's like, no, it's just being in my heart and allowing things to organically come into my life and make natural connections with people rather than that forced, I got to get this done. This is A, B, C, and D. So that's how my journey has been, of releasing my mind. I had an incredibly programmed mind, being brought up in structured religion and whatnot. Like I had, and in science, like I had very, very set system up until about, mid-30s, mid-40s. It started to really come, loosen, controlling me. But it still sneaks in there every day. And if you get put in that environment and you don't look up and say, oh, there is a mental field that is actually influencing me strongly. And I happen to have a very open center. I mean, that's how I feel a lot of things. And I think a lot of us who do this work, we are. If you're not aware of that, it can take over. It can start running through you as a channel. And so it's being very aware. That's how I've come to work with it.
Yeah, and it is the journey. It's the journey, as you were saying, definitely, because it's a process that continues as we evolve, and we keep finding all the ways that we have been programmed and we are not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we open that, yet again, something else show up, right? And it's a journey that we're going through, which is beautiful in a way. It's our human experience. But I believe there is a connection between we being disconnected with Mother Gaia and in our body. How can we abuse Earth as we have been if we worship it and know that is a goddess, is a live entity? How can we abuse it the way we have been, humanity, and with the greed, and do what we have done to Gaia if we do believe that is conscious and is our mother? Would we do that to it? And how could we do to ourselves what we have been doing if we were truly embodying ourselves? Mm-hmm. And by becoming more embodied, we actually accessing more of our desire to be in commune with our nature and the Mother Gaia. And I think it's truly connected. And the more we connect to ourselves, the easier it becomes to find that connection and love for Mother Gaia. And but as you were mentioning, is that it is a journey that we are going through. As long as we're mindful and loving and compassionate towards ourselves, because it's not our fault that we were programmed such that we lost our connection. We were traumatized, all of us, in so many ways, and it's not pleasant to be in your body when you're traumatized, right? So like all this way that we have been disconnecting with ourselves, of course, we're not when we are not connected to ourselves, how can we connect to others deeply? How can we connect to Mother Gaia deeply? So it is all of this are the connection that we need to go back to the oneness, first with ourselves, and embody fully who we are truly, with that joy and compassion for ourselves that our journey has brought us here, and continue doing that work. And I think naturally it will open up for us to have deeper connection with others and with Mother Gaia. But it always starts with us. And we need to do this with love, self-compassion, and kindness through ourselves. And then when we do that, then we also have a capacity to, to be more loving and compassionate towards others and Mother Gaia. But I think until we get there, how can we give when we can't even give to ourselves? So then when we do our inner work, naturally we become more given. And that's the journey that we all been, invited to be part of. And it's a beautiful journey. And, our human experience is allowing us to grow. And it seems to me, we humans have chosen to learn through suffering and pain.
Yeah.
And is part of what we all need to go. But having that awareness can help us that we're not alone in this. We all go through this. When I work with my client, try to make it normalized. When they complain, I'm like, yeah, this is life. Nobody says life is supposed to be all peaceful and beautiful. No, our journey is supposed to be all of this. The duality, we're supposed to experience it. But knowing that we're all in this together, then we can go further. As they say, if you want to go, what is it? Long go alone, but if you want to, I don't remember what it is, go together. There's something says like, as we go together, right, that journey becomes more enjoyable and easier for all of us. And that what we need as a community, and then communing with Mother Earth, that help us to find ourselves, who we are, through that commune with the Earth. After all, we are 5 elements of what it is on Earth. So, yeah. So, I think for all of us, as I was saying, we get to do this journey because something happened that awoke on us, right? There is always the transition that is happened to be either midlife, what they call midlife crisis. A crisis arises, and through that pain, it awakens all this desire in us to embody who we truly are, to get to know ourselves. And I totally remember the moment that I realized I just don't know who I am. What am I doing? Why am I here? And why am I doing what am I doing? Why am I with this person? Because it was just like all like expectation that I was fulfilling. That's how I felt. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. They tell me that I need to get educated, I need to get married, and I need to, but do I really want to do all of this and be here? And then when things started changing. So how did that become about for you?
It's, again, it's been more than one initiation, right? I think we go through many initiations. So my first one was probably when I was around 35, and I got divorced. And it was a wake-up call. It wasn't totally unexpected. It was not initiated by me. And it just like triggered ancient trauma of abandonment in me. And there was no way for me to move and heal through that without becoming more connected to who I was inside, because that's the only place that is really going to bring me peace, right? To be to bring my heart, because to know that I have value with regardless of who is in my life. And so that was the journey that started me on that inward journey, right? And I had the connecting to, God through religion, right? And I left that when I went off to college and pretty much just did science. And then at 35, I started to go into the healing arts. I didn't mention that, but I did that. And so I went into the healing arts and learned about the subtle energies, right? The subtle bodies and all of that, and learning to love your body. Like, I was a massage therapist for, many, many years, and just really, you have to love your body, and you have to be gentle and compassionate with yourself as you grow and you try to navigate life from your heart, because it's not accepted a lot, right? It doesn't seem practical most of the time. And then I've had a lot of, when I'm off track, I get sick. Like, I've been navigating the fine line of going back into that mental trajectory of trying to control the outcomes of things. And my health has just gone, the last couple of years, I had shingles. I've had several outbreaks of those, and that's an indication to go reconnect with my essence, right? I'm off track. I'm frying my nervous system because I'm trying to push some other agenda that is my mind. And that has been my continual evolution, as I get these little, your body's not going to go there. What are you going to do? So I am by no means a perfect example of living completely, heart-centered all the time. I still get pulled out, but that's my humanity, right? And that allows me to have compassion for not only myself, but for others, right? It's not about perfection. It's about a devotion and a commitment to returning to your heart. So I'm in the midst of returning to my heart this year and clearing out some other things that I had let start to grow in my life again that are not in alignment with my essence and my connection to the earth. Like, there's facades, right? It looks right, but there's not authenticity in it. And that's hard to face, right? Especially if you're doing this work of, oh, I want to help people embody their voice of Gaia. It's like, well, yeah, you got to get really real with yourself first. So I'm in a new layer of authenticity, and it is really brought me into deeper connection with my love for my body and for the earth again, like a deeper, even more rich connection.
I definitely also feel that Gaia and my soul are constantly asking me to let go of control in the ways, right, that I wanted. I would feel, quote, safer if I had some sense of control of anything, right?
Right.
And my soul's been like, just surrender to soul, surrender to soul, surrender to soul. And then my mind is like, but I have been for so long. When's it going to be enough? Right. Like, and then there's like, but there's another layer and another layer. And in a way, I also have had my body just get sick when I'm not in alignment. And particularly when I was, going through a lot in my relationships that were not fully in alignment. And I see it as, even though it's not fun in the process, such a gift that the body isn't willing to let us ignore the soul, isn't willing to let us stray that far, because the body is our soul, like formed by our soul. And for me, it's the soul saying, like, I know that this is the path that you're on, and I am reminding you that there's another way, and I'm here, and I'm here, and I'm here, and I'm here. And surrendering to that deeper truth, because we're having this conversation because none of us, and I doubt the listeners, are here because you want to just live in your mind, because you want to just have control and you want to just be a robot. We're not here for that. We're here to live life. We're here to connect with our soul and live a soul-led life, because that's how we create the shift, and that's how we come back to the time when Gaia was worshipped as goddess. The divine was recognized in every living thing, everything from a pinky nail to the bird, to the wasp, to the bumblebee, all of it is divine. And even the moments when we think we're off, we're still there. We're already there. And I want to shift the conversation a little bit to connecting to Gaia, to connecting to her voice, I'm curious about your path with that, to how you started hearing her, to how you started listening to her. And I heard you say earlier that, for you, it comes up through your root, through your sacral. That's how I connect with her. I know a lot of people are like, I got to download. I'm like, well, they're more uploads for me. Like, they upload.
Totally.
And I'm curious, like, how that happened for you, and what that process is like. And I know that you guide people through this more deeply in your Voices of Gaia offerings. So I certainly don't expect to explain every little thing, but an overview of particularly your journey of reconnecting to her voice.
Well, the first step again is, as I mentioned, was the plant ceremonies that I did. I haven't done many. I didn't. It doesn't take much for me. So that really opened up the throat chakra to express what I was connecting to through my root and my sacral through the earth. And so I just started speaking like uncontrollable light language. I don't know, some other people might call it different things. They were just sounds, and I had really no understanding or mental understanding or control of them. They would just come out, and for quite a while there I couldn't really control it. It was just, and it would startle people. But it started to open up healing, like a healing ability through that, like not only for myself, but for others, my clients and things. And then it turned into accessing her creative, being resourced by her through the things that I would create, because it would come, it was an upload, right? So when I would speak, I was actually speaking creation codes. They weren't necessarily mine. They were hers, but it comes through me, and I have a certain machinery, right? If you want to think about it like that, I'm coded a certain way so that what comes through me is going to be an expression of who I am. And that's really what I guide people to embrace, is that connection to the source of creative power at the core of Mother Earth, and to bring that up and through you, and to blend it with your higher self, with your, with your infinite nature, right? So that when it comes through the throat into creating or healing, it's not resourced by just you, right? It's infinite. And then you become part of that larger energy flow in that ecosystem. And so that's how I use different tools. Some are mind-based and some are the feeling sense, right? The body sense of moving energy. But I came across the Gene Keys in like 2016. And those are a heart-based transmission. It's a tantric transmission, right? And it actually does work on your body. Like it shifts your biochemistry. And I use that a lot with people to help them align and to open up their particular blueprint. And mine just happens to be that one of my primary pieces of work out in the world is connecting to the core of Gaia. And so, everybody has that potential. I just happen to be assigned the task of going through life of having to learn how to do that so that I could share that, right? Sometimes we're given gifts, but we actually have to go through the challenge of embodying them before we can share them. And as I said, I'm a work in progress. So that's how I do it. And it may not make exact sense, but it's not a mind-based experience, really.
Yeah, it is really hard to explain some of this mystical thing that happens. You can't put words in it, and the experience, you have to experience it. You have to be there, right? For
You
it.
have to be there, but you know when you are in it, right? That's you learn, and it's a muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your gifts. It's such an honor to have this conversation with you. As we conclude, I know you have a gift for our audience.
Yes.
Please tell us more about it, and also any last word of wisdom you'd like to share with us. That would be great.
May I speak a bit from my voice, from my light language, and then I'll share the stuff. Male ishtale nohola ke asa. Ungala ndha ingesh ibnehech. Pusht alare. Push mehek. Te ulsh. Nahat. Nihereopa. Shk. Shonomanete. Ko. Was gentle today. A gentle transmission. The essence of cultivating generosity of spirit through deeper connection with our bodies in nature. And there's some subtleties in that I won't go into, but it just basically we all have that gift, right? To speak, to channel, we all have a different voice. And so the offering that I have, the free gift that I have on my website, patriciawald-hopkins.com, is an Akashic wisdom journey with the Gene Keys and human design. And it is called the Peacekeeper. And the Peacekeeper is one of the 8 archetypes. And I won't go through the whole thing, but the Peacekeeper is that anchor. It is the one that anchors you to the core of Mother Earth. And from that place, you can begin the journey up through the other 8. That doesn't mean you have to start with the Peacekeeper, but that's the one. And so it helps for you to be aware of what's keeping you from that, what's keeping you from anchoring in. So it's it's a journey, a 60-minute or so journey.
What a beautiful gift. Thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. And definitely go to patriciawaldhopkins.com and get the gift. We'll put the link below specifically as well to the free gift that you're offering. And you're also on Instagram. We'll put all the links below in the show notes. And it's been such a pleasure. I wish we had more time to go a lot deeper into this. I just love what you've brought forth and the journey that you've shared. And I hope it's an inspiration that if you do nothing else, go put your feet on the earth, go put your head on the earth, go put your root on the earth and connect and see her as alive. See her as something more than an inanimate object. See her with the lens of your heart, to see her through your heart, not through your mind, to see her through your heart and allow yourself to receive her in that way. Because I feel like we truly see through the heart and we also receive through the heart and that communion. So thank you for bringing her to us in this conversation today, Patricia.
Thank you for the honor of sharing time with you here. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you all. And we'd love for you to leave your comments, any questions that you have, and share this with somebody who you think can benefit from hearing these words of wisdom. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.